Tomorrow, in Oklahoma City, they're having the End the Fed rally. I would like to know what you guys' opinion is on the Federal Reserve and what you think should be done with it.
Well, this may not come as a surprise to you, but we, for this group, we should abolish the Federal Reserve. We're not having a rally in Tulsa anywhere.
Yes, we are.
Tomorrow? We are.
Tomorrow at
Oklahoma City.
71st and 169 in front of the Maytag. Don't get on the Maytag private property. He doesn't like it. But there's sidewalks, plenty of parking from 2 to 4 tomorrow.
From 2 to 4. Okay, that's good news. And there's also one in Oklahoma City that I knew about. Yeah, but the Federal Reserve is bad. You know, 1913 was a bad year for this country. That's when we got the 16th Amendment, the Federal Reserve, and what else? The 17th Amendment, I think. All in 1 year.
I'm going to be speaking at that tomorrow, so I'll get more in depth to it, and I'll put it up on my YouTube and everything, so you'll be able to see it.
In Oklahoma City?
Yeah, in Oklahoma City when I'll be speaking at that one, but I'll put it up online so you'll be able to see it. But the Federal Reserve is as federal as Federal Express. It is a private corporation.
There we go.
That controls our money supply. And what it does, its sole purpose is inflation. Now, you think we have inflation bad now, you haven't seen it. Over in Romania, when I was there, if you had 5 million of their currency, when I first moved over there, you could buy a beautiful house. Nice, probably 4, 5, 6 bedroom, buy a car, you could buy all that stuff for 5 million of their currency. When I left, you could buy maybe a week's worth of groceries. That's what inflation does. And that's what the Federal Reserve has done. Since the Federal Reserve was instituted, our dollar has declined 93%.
Wow, there he goes.
You watch these old shows, like All They Knows Best and everything, they freak out over spending $20. $20? That was a lot of money back then. So it devalues our currency. That's what they do when they inflate. So your money doesn't go as far. It wipes out your savings accounts. That's what the sole purpose of it. It's a hidden tax, so we need to abolish it.
Let me make one more comment on that. If you go back to the fathers knows best and leave it to Beaver age, the 1950s and 60s, why would a loaf of bread cost more today than back then if it wasn't for inflation? Right. Because think about the technology. We actually can make a loaf of bread a lot cheaper today than we did back then. You take my industry, air conditioning. Technology has improved so dramatically over the last 30 years in the air conditioning industry. We make a piece of equipment much more economical today because of the manufacturing, the just-on-time delivery, and all the high-tech welding and tubing with the copper and all that. We make it much more efficient. Yet it costs 3 times more than it used to. And that's because of inflation. If anything today, if we didn't have the Federal Reserve and we didn't have the inflation, our dollar would be so strong. You could still buy a week's worth of groceries for $20. That's right. That's where we should be today. But it has destroyed our economy. It literally has, and it's been by design. That's the unfortunate thing.
Let me add on to that, Doug. Talking about prices of loaf of bread. In 1913, when the Federal Reserve was created, a loaf of bread cost 6 cents. Now it costs $2.80 on average. That's 40 times, not 40%, 40 times the inflation. So imagine how many loaves of bread you could buy with $2.80 back then. You could buy 40 loaves of bread, now you get 1. That's what inflation does.
Now, homeschoolers could probably tell us that real quick. How many loaves of bread would that be?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, to go on with that, inflation is really a hidden tax. And over time, we are robbed of that money, especially people that have like cash accounts. But anyway, my understanding is the writing is on the wall of the dollar's collapse. It's just a matter of time. It may be a matter of time. Well, it's a matter of time until inflation hits here, probably like we've never seen in America. It's my understanding that the Lakota Nation has created their own currency system. Is there a way that Oklahoma could do that if it needed to happen?
There is a way. We the people gave Congress the authority to coin money and set the value thereof, okay? There's not a prohibition from the state doing that as long as it is tied to gold. Now, yeah, or, I'm not sure if that's right. I know it's gold. Okay. So there is a way to do that. I'm not an expert on this. Nathan, you may have some more insight on that, but all of these things that we're talking about, yeah, they can be done because we have the right to do it. We have sure hamstrung ourselves to where it may be near impossible to do today, but it is possible.
There's a way that you can do it yourself. Just write a check. What's the difference between a check that you write for $1 million and sign versus a Federal Reserve note that says $1 million and is backed by nothing? That's exactly what they're doing. Think of it in that perspective. That is backed by absolutely nothing. It'd be no different than if you didn't have $1 million in your bank account and you did. They're just printing up the money. It's essentially worthless. It has no value. So you can do that. I don't recommend you do that, but that's exactly what it is. We need to get back to the gold standard. We need to have it tied to something physical, something of value.
One more thing that I don't know if you can control this or not, but in Iowa now, they are going to make homeschool children take 2 years in a public high school, or they won't give them a diploma. And I'm a very strong advocate of children and very much disagree with the government schools that they have to go to. Can you,